Good day, it's Carl from Studio In Car. This is Mark's GR Yaris. Circuit pack bass audio, and what we've decided to do in this car is remove that standard amplifier. So as you'll likely know, in these cars, whether it's JBL or normal sort of bass audio, there is an ANC device underneath the seat, active noise cancellation, and the supposed engine sound controller plus amplification. It is in line from the head unit to that unit out to the speakers. Speaker paths take a weird sort of route in this car, but it's all manageable. We've done a number of them because they sound whack from factory, all right? Whether they've got JBL or not, they suck, all right? Wicked car, dreadful stereo. It's ever the case in here, as you know. We've changed this to a simple amplified two-way and passive bass system, and it's often the most simple of systems that sound the best. Like I've said a number of times, sound is lazy, okay? It wants to be left alone, really. It just needs to be as pure and as original as it wanted to be. Many steps can cause many different things, many phase anomalies, timing anomalies, you know, output, amplitude anomalies, you know. So often the most simple network is, you know, the best sounding, the most original, you know. We have got a technical amp in here, so we've got the Audison Forza AFM 12.14 that is bridged on the mid bass and tweeters. So it is abridged as well, so we get a load of energy and bite from the Dynaudio front speakers in this. They got the 242s, the Tech 242 set in here, so the MW162 mid bass and the MD102 tweeter, which are fantastic, great bang for buck, right? And I say that they're not a cheap speaker, they're a £600 component set, but they just hit different, all right? The price hasn't changed for 20 years, so let's keep taking advantage of that one. They deal with power really well. They're a very hungry speaker, and when you give them decent power, they really reward you for it. So yeah, DSP amp, two-way active front end, and passive sub box. So we've got the APB-X 8D, 8R. I'm gonna write it here in this. So we can use a bridge set of channels on the back end of the AFM 12.14 to run that as well. Now these have really small cabins. The cabin gain is really high, all right? We don't need loads of displacement. We don't need loads of power. We just need a simple passive sealed sub. This is an 8, and it will fill this cabin completely, you know, too much if you want it. We've got ours nice and thick, as we do because we tune our cars for the road. Yeah, and it just sounds wicked. If anything, we've removed speakers from it, to be fair. You know, it has less than what it had when it came in, but with some simple system design, some real nice setup, some simple tricks, it works really well, and you can lean on it. There's a load more volume there now, so you know, we've got better speakers, better amplifier in there, we've got more power, better ways to manage that. Of course, we've got the tuning that we've done, which helps with that as well. You know, bass is more defined, your top end is just much clearer, it's much wider, it's a much nicer image in there, and you know, and it stays linear throughout the range. Because we've removed that amplifier, we've taken a signal from before the amp, which is actually a nice clean signal in these. It's a lower voltage, high level signal into the amplifier on these. I can't remember if the JBL works in the same way. I think it does. By removing that amplifier, we naturally remove ANC, we naturally remove the annoying sort of fake engine sound that's pumped in there, which we do get asked often if we can keep. You don't want to keep that with an aftermarket system. if you imagine an amplifier is basically a turbo, all right? You put air in and you get tons out, all right? That's what an amp does. If you put that fake engine noise into an amp, into another amp, it's just gonna go bananas, and it's not cool. So you can either use Charista or something to map it out, or you can go pre the amplifier, remove that amplifier entirely. We've got no codes or anything like that on there. Yeah, it's good as gold. Great upgrade this. We've modified the boot floor slightly so that this gentleman uses this car to carry stuff, so paddle boarding, things like that. So those seats are permanently flat. There's no rear passengers in here, so it's got a specific, like a rear seat deletion style mat, which I'll show you in a sec. And that always runs just completely flat. So we've modified the polystyrene sort of foam underneath the floor to fit the subwoofer. That loads against the bottom of the boot floor. It does give it a bit of stick when there's nothing in there, but rest assured when there's a load on the boot floor, it's not gonna, you know, these things are so lightweight, you struggle with controlling panels moving and stuff. Which leads me nicely onto the amount of sound deadening in this car. So we've done probably an entire bulk pack of sound deadening. So that's the 34 square feet, I think, on the inner door skins, the outer door skins, and the inside of the door cards. We can't get much more on there, okay? So they are now weighty. Yes, it adds weight, okay? So if you're thinking you can do this sort of thing and not add any mass to the car, you can't, all right? Mass equals a lower resonant frequency, and that's what we want in here. We want to control the mid bass in the doors, we want to stop noise from outside, and we want to stop our noise from escaping, keeping all that energy in there. It's great value sound deadening, it's a great product. So that's in there. We've got the MW162 mid bass in there on a high infill 3D printed mount of our own design. That is rock solid. The mid bass in here is killer. Up top, we've got the MD102, the Dynaudio tweeter. It's quite a large silk dome tweeter. It's like a 1.1 inch silk dome tweeter. And that is on a hand-built modification to the OEM grill. So in a world where we're all 3D printing, and we're 3D printing all the time, it was actually quite nice to get technical on a very small part and make that by hand. We do that for each one of these, unless you spec that you want it to look completely OEM, and then we have to change the speakers that we use because the Dynaudio tweeter is just too deep. It won't be having it in the space behind that pillar. So yeah, we do that, and we kick them, and we kick them a lot. But when you see them in the car, they don't look kicked a lot. It's just that they face forwards in the original car. We kick them so they're still off axis with the driver, but they're just more on axis. We've got the left one, which is kind of, we are within, say, 30 degrees on axis of, so that's fine. And the right one, we're still off axis. So we have to do a little bit of tuning to deal with the beaming of the right-hand tweeter. But that's, you know, it's all part and parcel of what we do, right? They look and sound wicked in there. Absolutely, it's my favorite part of this build. And underneath the driver's seat, running it all, of course, is the replacement amplifier, the Audison AFM 12.14. Like I've said, bridged for the tweeters, bridged for the mid basses, and bridged for the sub, and then all dialed in by ourselves. And yeah, really happy with the way this one's come out. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've tried to fill it with sort of B-roll stuff so you can see everything that I'm talking about, so it's not too boring. If you're a GR owner and you want what we do, which is better than what everyone else does, then get in touch. All right, I'm Carl's your studio in car, and I'm going because it is so hot. Have a nice weekend.